And we're speaking to political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, the man Watson Duke, who's no stranger to the Observer. If I didn't get a chance to wish you Happy New Year to you, comrade. And of course, wishing you great health, financial prosperity, and a peace of mind for 2024.
Thank you so much. I received that, Pastor Mikey.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, you seem to be on a mission once again. And every time you start on these missions, you grab the headlines, you grab the spotlight. And now you're making it quite clear that it's actually self-determination and not autonomy that Tobago is seeking. Please share with us, what does that mean? Connect the dots for us.
Lovely. Self-determination is a universal right for persons who have been colonized. Self-determination is an act that results in decolonization. You got that clear?
Right.
So all of the territories that was in subjugation by a foreign power, mostly the European powers, whether it be Germany, it be Belgium, it be French, it be France, or it be British, those persons were in subjugation, and the law came from the United Nations as General Assembly, from the international covenants, civil and political, human rights, all this kind of stuff, And that simply states that these peoples should determine their political status without any external interference. They should also plan and develop their economic, social, and cultural development, right? Those are the four things that they must do, because
right.
when they took them from their homes and they brought them to these islands or these places to live, they understood over time that they disenfranchised these people from their free way of life, and they didn't want to send them back. So they allowed them to live in the place. And when they live there, they must now take control of that place and call it their place, or become one with the people who are there. You with me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
So therefore, all of us, particularly the black people, we came from Africa, the western part of Africa, all right? Some from Liberia, some from Nigeria, some from Ghana, different places. We came from Africa and we came to Tobago, different ships, different times, etc. So during slavery, Tobago was an independent island, and it was governed by the Tobago Constitution. The last constitution Tobago had was in 1876. The last constitution was repealed by the Queen of Britain, who was totally responsible for all the British colonies. And it was repealed because of a war that took place on the island of Tobago that was synonymous or reminded them of the war in Haiti, where the people on the island, the Africans on the island, seized the country for 5 days. It was so bad that a ship had to come from a naval fleet, had to come from Barbados to suppress it. Upon suppressing it, a few months later, the Constitution was repealed, and the Queen declared that the Tobago House of Assembly will now be null and void, because they could no longer manage the slaves, so to speak.
Let me ask you this, Watson, and I understand the whole historical essence of it all, but getting into the real core issue of it, you said that consultations will soon begin with citizens on the island, as they have an integral part to play. And you said that the PDP intends to embark on 7 days of public meetings on the dawn of that bill coming to the parliament.
Yes.
Now, for those who may not want to get all these historical factors and get involved, who would simply say, listen, you know exactly what we wanted on the campaign trail. We came out and we voted overwhelmingly to give you such a lead. We put a licking on the other guy. We expected you, we expected Farley to come together, two combined intellectual individuals from our very place of Tobago, and make living here on this island better for us. Whatever took place, whatever it was, whatever, who was led by, engineered, whatever, the people of Tobago is simply saying, we want to get back to that. We want to get back to the fact that we want to deal with putting Tobago first. Consultations are good, But what is in it really for us?
Well, everything. If Farley is to continue with that autonomy bill and it is to be passed, then Tobago will be forever fixed in history as a catch-ass island. And we would not be able to help ourselves. Because now written into the hardest law to change, the Constitution, and there will forever be catch-ass on the island. That's what it is. The autonomy bill guarantees you to catch your ass from now to the rest, to the life ends.
Yeah, but Duke, with all due respect, again, we don't know you as the character that really looks for, making your move to justify it on a piece of legislation or a document or anything like that. You are Watson Duke. You take the fight to the opponent. And when you hear all these cries in Tobago about who's not being paid, contractors are not being paid, they expected Watson Duke to be there to say, listen, on Monday morning, I won the ferry. I'm coming down with at least 10 or 20,000 people, and we're going in front of Mr. Imbert's office and demand that Tobago get what is rightfully theirs. So at this point in time, this is not the Watson Duke.
It's too early for that. It's too early for that.
All right.
It's too early for that. That would have been easy when I was the PSA president, because I was allowed to do that. But outside of the political season, anybody who does that can be guilty of sedition, trying to overthrow the country. Because our laws are set up in a way that and I've been charged on sedition already.
All right.
And we have gotten off of the matter.
All right, but you would have sent a strong message, however, making it quite clear that you're not going to stand for any of this when it is that Tobagoans are crying out for service and crying out for things.
So that will come, definitely that will come. The day for mass marches of persons who are unemployed, that will come. But that has to come on the dawn of the election season. Perhaps once we enter into that closeness of election, then you could start, because then you'll be seen as being political. But now, election is about a year away and more. One has to be careful as to how they embark on those missions, because they could backfire on you. People are fickle. Funny to say, they are fickle. They will march with you today, but disown you tomorrow. And how do you sustain that? One has to be very careful as to sustaining those attacks. You can't have march on one day and the government disappears, you're not there. Then the people say to you, what next? So what Watson Duke is currently doing, we are attacking the major piece of legislation that will give Tobagonians what they need and give Trinidadians what they need. When we have a document, a constitutional amendment that speaks to self-determination, what that will do, it will give Tobagonians the right to develop their own economy and their own social and cultural development. It's very, very important. Without those things, we could lose our identity as a people. And we don't want to lose our identity. People travel all over the world to study people, to see how people live, what their culture is. Yeah? The British and the Spanish, they have different cultures. Yeah, and the people in Africa have different cultures. What is Tobago culture? What is Trinidad culture? And so it is important for us to understand what our culture is, monetize all of those things, create an entire economy out of those things. And it requires a freedom. When you have the autonomy bill passed, the autonomy is more rights. You are fixed to 7%. You are fixed to being a ward of Trinidad. Even though they remove the name of ward, you are still a subordinate to Trinidad. 2 votes could never, ever outvote 39 votes. So I mean, whatever Trinidad says, they get to do. And that is not good in a democratic government where 2 islands have a different history. We have to understand that.
Yeah.
But let
me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Mr. Duke. Are you concerned that, as far as dealing with this bill, are you concerned, I want to ask you this, are you concerned about the fact that you are not fully confident that the current THA secretary and his team is able to cope? Do you believe that they may be somehow manipulated out of everything by the current administration?
Well, it's quite highly possible. They are looking for a victory, and the current administration, they are looking for a victory too. And there may be a handsy-pansy game going on, but I'm telling you something. The passage of this bill will, in fact, before this bill is passed, they will know for a fact that they cannot play with this bill. Because I intend to ask for permission to do a march sometime before this bill is passed. A march for self-determination. We are not going to sit down and allow anybody to think that we in Tobago want to have a kind of a slave arrangement with Trinidad put into the constitution. That limits you. If they say 7%, then it's 7% you will get for all your life. Even if the population grows, then it's 7% of the bill you will get. That cannot happen. There's no country that will exist like that. You have to develop. We are a third world country. We have to develop. And so what Tobago needs is the ability to borrow money based on its economic plans for the future. We just can't say 5%, 7%, 12%. That's not good enough. There must be no percentage limit on Tobago's borrowing or Tobago's dreams. All right? We have seen how Dubai have transformed themselves from a desert into a metropolis. Singapore did it. I mean, China, they were in so much debt because 50, 60 years ago. Now, look at China today. They're booming, right? Brazil is same too. So economies bounce back. We must ensure that Tobago is in a position where it can grow an economy and contribute positively to the development of Trinidad and Tobago. And Tobago must stop being a layback, coming from kind of a ward. We don't want to be a ward, and we don't want Trinidad to feed us. We need to get out there and develop the organs of our economy to get it going, and that's what self-determination
and
does.
I guess that's what self-determination, that's what you mean by self-determination.
Self-determination,
So
we must determine that.
if we had to get some clarity on exactly what you're saying as well, as autonomy is one thing, you know, you say that's something that could be given, but
That's
you're
right.
saying that self-determination is a right. And
Right.
within that right, it gives you time to lay things out, to develop, and to be built. Because there will be people weighing in and saying, well, you may not have what it takes to go this route or what have you.
No, it
but
allows you to do that. It allows you to go on the market, borrow loans, and develop a place.
And of course, with these consultations, you expect Tobagonians, of course, to have to put their input and to say exactly what do you expect from Tobagonians as part of going out there and having these consultations?
I can tell you, the word is out, and people are meeting me. They're messaging me. They're saying, "Thank you, Watson, for opening our eyes. Thank you so much for bringing this aspect of discussion to the table," because they didn't understand. Simply put, autonomy is rights that comes out of all your rights. They give you some of your rights in autonomy, and they give it to you incrementally. Self-determination is all your rights as an enslaved people who are seeking to be decolonized, who are seeking to be free. We are still not free in Tobago. No one consulted us on that move from Tobago to Trinidad as a ward. No one consulted us in the British. They simply imposed it upon us. When we are in Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad went to England to seek independence. They did not consult Tobagonians. Let me give you a classic example because time is going.
Yeah.
Jamaica and Cayman Islands were one. Jamaica was responsible for overseeing all the administrative developments on the Cayman Islands because they were British colonies. When Jamaica in 1963 were looking to get independence, they had to consult Cayman Islands and ask them if they want that too. They said, no, you go ahead. Jamaica went ahead, got their independence. Today, the Cayman dollar is 85 cents per US dollar. While Jamaica is now bad off currency exchange with the US dollar. So what I'm saying to you, they consulted. No one consulted Tobago. Tobago has never been consulted on its political status, has never been consulted on its own right to develop its economy, etc. We have to be consulted.
Yeah, but one also has to be careful as well. What do you say to folks who will weigh in and make statements such as Mr. Duke is coming across as if Trinidad is a liability to Tobago?
No. I'm saying that the politicians in Trinidad have continued to dumb down Tobago and belittle Tobago, and so therefore we are not able to produce anything. We are not able to feed ourselves. The very police that organize in Tobago, they are controlled from Trinidad. That is totally crazy. You can't have it happen at all. All the boats that come to Tobago, they had to start in Trinidad, and they are controlled by Trinidad. Port Authority is controlled in Trinidad. 80% the Caribbean Airlines is controlled from Trinidad. So Tobago can find itself by a wicked and evil prime minister alone, because we are a ward. If your baby crying, you could put your baby down and say, shut your mouth, and not feeding you. And that's what happens ever so often. So we have to remove ourselves from that, and we are asking for our basic human rights, which is well rooted in international law. The United Nations General Assembly declares that. I mean, it's so much international law on that, right? That's a basic right. And we are saying we need our basic right because we never had a chance to exercise that right. No. Put it in the Constitution that Trinidad and Tobago will be islands of equal status, and Tobago will have the right to self-determination upon the passage of this bill. And that's enough. Once we put that there, it means that going forward, Trinidad and Tobago, in this relationship, Tobago will always reserve the right, as any country could do, until we don't like the relationship. Or you know what? Let's deepen our relationship. And once that happens, the 2 votes in Tobago automatically equal the 39 votes in Trinidad, because one island cannot dominate the other. Good, we stand side by side. But right now, Tobago could always be outvoted. They could decide to make the speed limit in Tobago 10 kilometers per hour. And that's what it is. You can't, it's the law.
And let me ask you, have you scheduled the first consultation? When is that going to take place?
No, everything is going to try to crescendo when the bill is going to the parliament, right? And so we have to time it well. We have to look at the books, law books, see the legislative agenda for this year, when it's going to go there. And then we are going to plan all our meetings around Tobago, 7 meetings. That we're going to have the persons come out with refreshments, use our PowerPoints, educate them, etc., and have them vote on the issue, whether they want autonomy or self-determination. Yeah?
Yeah, very important. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
Well, I want to say that the Duke is back, the PDP is strong, and we will continue to represent the people of Tobago and represent truth as we see it through the political lens. And the truth is, Tobago is an island and must be treated with respect, not as a ward, not as a dependent, not as a paraplegic. And the government in Trinidad needs to do much more to govern both islands harmoniously and stop the divide and rule.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Duke. We'll be checking in with you periodically to see how things take place. Best of luck to you and your entire team. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Nice.